affected. And I suppose as luck have it, some of the coral gets damaged pretty bad, and the other coral's pretty well unscathed. Probably been this way your cyclones coming your way. The prickly, stalky looking coral, that's staghorn. You'll see patches of it that are really blue, and that's just a difference, like some people have blonde hair and some people have got dark hair. You can have different colours of staghorn coral. There's two types of coral that you'll be viewing, and that's the soft ones and the hard ones. That's particularly hard. If you put your foot down in that, you would break it, but you'd also really cut your leg badly. It's a little bit like chalk, a stick of chalk made of a bad mix of concrete. It's still pretty hard, but it can be broken. The soft corals you see there swaying in the currents, they've still got the little coral polyp inside, but they have a softer skeleton. The hard skeleton coral, it has a skeleton of limestone. And over the years it builds up and builds up and builds up. And you'll see some boulder coral here, some roundish ones. It's probably up to 500 years old. It's quite large. The reef's constantly changing. This area here got pretty well smashed by the waves, and you can see all the broken coral. So it's not the end of the world. New coral will form on it, and if it's a good situation, it'll start growing. It's a little bit like when the spores come up, which I think is about October, when the coral bloom goes through. And it's just like, I imagine the fish have underwater hay fever. It's so thick. And where it lands, if it's fertilised and it's favourable, it'll grow. Just like your seeds in your garden. Some grow really good and some don't have enough sunlight, and some have too much wind. It's the same underwater. You can see the ones that survive with around the smaller corals. But that staghorn will come back. It's not a weed, but gee, it's very prolific in some areas. It's about the only thing that just sort of chokes everything out. It grows about 15 centimetres a year, where most of the other small coral there only grow a couple of millimetres, so it's a bit of a fight. Nevertheless, the fish hang around it because the algae gets on it, because of the sunlight that you can see, and that's what the coral lives on also. Things are still pretty happy down there, except that you wouldn't want to be a small fish. I think if you're going to be a small fish, you want to be something that's very unpalatable, not worth eating or something. I see a lot of fish out during the day, they won't come out during the night. They'll be hiding in down amongst this coral, because you'll have those GTs, those bigger fish back at the pontoon. They'll be cruising around looking for something that hasn't gone to bed. And they'll just wish to digest it. You'll see the odd sea slug on the bottom. They're you can watch them for a week and I don't think you'd see them move. A little bit like a banana that's been skinned and gone black and it's about 2 weeks old. You pick them up in the shallows, the first thing they do is squirt a big belly full of water out. But it was an industry in northern Australia before Europeans came to Australia, even before 1642 and Dirk Hartog and all that. The Macassans were coming down from Southeast Asia at the bequest of the Chinese traders to pick up these sea slugs called trepang, and you might have heard this expression trepangers, and that's what they were. They come down during the end of the dry season, when they stay all through the wet in their prows along the northern coastline. Flint has counted so many in Malay Bay up the Coburg Peninsula, and it was a big industry for about 350 years. Eventually, the Australian government came along and decided to put a tax on them with customs, and that was the finish of it in 1921. However, there is still a trepang industry in northern Australia because they're still consumed, and they boil them. They used to boil them on the beach and bring their pots down. And the pots are quite unique because we don't have volcanic sand in Australia, but their pots were made of volcanic sand, and no complete pot was ever found. But you find bits and pieces of it where they were camped over hundreds of years. We're going over We're passing into the channel now. We're just about into the channel. You can still see the bottom, so we're not in the channel, so it'll be very close. We're going to go over one of the pinnacles. There should be two of them. I haven't moved. And we'll see if we can spot the fish. They'll be on the current side. In other words, where the current's coming. And they come out of about 27 metres of water, which is about what we're in now. You can't see the bottom. That's about 60 feet down. You're lucky to have a really good day because it was like watching a picture of somebody doing that the other day. It was probably some really bad glassing on this. We're coming over it now. Let's see if I can back up a little bit. Hang on, you get a few bubbles, but I'll get rid of that. So these come up, this is only about as wide as the length of the boat, really. The fish love it. It's out in the middle of the current, good places to hide, and the cyclone didn't affect it too much because of the different types of corals on it. See how it just drops off. Now you can imagine the corals that are down lower don't need quite as much sunlight as these ones on top. Some corals don't mind coming out of the water at low tide, others can't tolerate it. I can just slowly spin around. I think it's not be able to do it. Here we are. See breaking the coral down that little valley in between it. There's other coral. There's a few little fish on top of it here. It's flourishing quite well. But if you were to drill down through that, you'd probably be able to determine, like they do, looking at the different cores, when the cyclones were, when the sea levels rose, when they dropped a little bit. A lot of small fish down there, as I say, they've got places to hide at the night time, so they're quite happy to come out during the day. I'll get around to that one.